Oh, welcome. It is time for the Week 7 recap. I'm really hoping that I didn't get cut off at the start. If I did, oops. Oh, gosh. That was bad. That definitely echoed. Anyway, it's time for the Week 7 recap. We did the whole thing in three streams, which was great. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, you should like and comment and subscribe. That'd be cool. But anyway, wait, why is this? There we go. That's going now. All right. Anyway, let's go over the week. So to start the week off, Jacksonville ended up beating New Orleans at New Orleans. It was 23-17 victory for the Jaguars. Raiders at Bears followed, and Vegas ended up falling 31-33 to Chicago, who was the home team. Next was Browns at Colts. The Colts defended their home field there, 27-34, winning against Cleveland. Next up was Bills at Patriots. Patriots upset the Bills, 16-23 at home. I didn't expect that. Commanders at Giants followed. Washington steamrolled the Giants, 41-19. Lions at Ravens followed, and Detroit found a way to win 48-38 against Baltimore. Falcons and Buccaneers followed in a close one. Atlanta barely got away with the win, 24-22 at Tampa. Steelers at Rams followed, and Pittsburgh won a one-score game there, 27-20 in LA. Cardinals at Seahawks. Arizona getting their first win of the season, 43-12 over the Seahawks in Seattle. That's probably the one that shocked me the most. Next up was Packers at Broncos. Green Bay wound up winning 35-10 in Denver. Chargers at Chiefs followed that one, and the Chargers ended up losing to Kansas City in Kansas City, 20-37. Dolphins at Eagles followed that, and in a big shootout, Miami came away with the victory, 45-42 in Philadelphia. Following that and closing off the week, the 49ers at Vikings played, and San Francisco pretty much rolled 41-24 in Minnesota. So those are the scores, those are the results from Week 7. Now we can go look at the updated stat leaders. As we go up to NFL stats, passing. Yardage leaders 1 through 5. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes, 30-13. Over 3,000 already. Tua was number 2, 25-43. Third place, Kirk Cousins, 24-02. Fourth place, Matthew Stafford, 23-68. And fifth place is Derek Carr, 22-98. Pass completions, the leader for that is Mahomes at 235. The leader in attempts is Goff at 340. Goff is actually no, hold on. Mahomes is actually fifth in attempts, despite being first in completions. So that's pretty good. Touchdown leaders. Tua's in first with 23. Second place, Mahomes with 22. Third place, Ritter with 18. Fourth place, Kirk Cousins with 17. And fifth place is Brock Purdy with 16. Interceptions, the worst ones. Russell Wilson has the most with 22. I believe he had a seven interception game. That's bad. Second place, Lawrence with 21. Third place, Baker with 20. Fourth place, Jared Goff with 17. And fifth place is a tie between Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and Geno Smith, all with 16. I don't understand why they throw so many interceptions. It is wild to me, but they just do. Completion percentage leader for actual starters is Patrick Mahomes at 72, tied with Jalen Hurts, who's also at 72. Passer rating leader so far this season is Mahomes, once again, at 111. Most yards per attempt is Patrick Mahomes again at 9.3. All right, let's stop glazing. Okay, well, he has the longest pass of the season so far now with 90. Most sacked quarterback, Kyler Murray, with 49. He's been sacked 49 times. Yikes. Fewest sacks on a quarterback who started every game. C.J. Stroud has only been sacked 11 times. Kirk Cousins has also only been sacked 11 times. Stroud, I believe, has had his bye week, so he has only played 6 games, whereas Cousins has not had his bye week yet. He's been sacked 11 times in 7 games. That is a good offensive line. Rushing. Let's get over here. The bell cow of the season so far. Derrick Henry at first with 164. Second place in carries, Jonathan Taylor with 163. Third place, David Montgomery, 158. Fourth place, Brian Robinson with 153. And fifth place, Bijan Robinson with 152. Yardage leaders, Bijan's in first with 883. Second place, Derrick Henry with 863. Third place, Brian Robinson with 779. Fourth place, Jonathan Taylor with 662. And fifth place, Saquon with 624. Average yards per carry leader, out of guys who've had a significant amount of carries that are running backs. Amari DeMercado with 22 carries, 7.2 yards a carry. Give him the ball. Touchdown leaders, Derrick Henry's in first with 9. Second place, Aaron Jones with 7. Second place is a three-way tie between Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, and Bijan Robinson, all with 7. And then fifth place is Devon Achane with 6. Fumbles. Most fumbles by a running back so far is a bunch of guys with 2. Bijan, Kyren Williams, Isaiah Pacheco. That's it. Those 3 guys have 2 fumbles. Everybody else has less than 2 that's a running back. Quarterbacks, Kyler Murray has the most, but that's because he's been sacked 40-some times. He's a small man. He should not be getting hit that much. Longest run so far this season, Breece Hall, 75. I believe that one's been the case. Most broken tackles so far, Derrick Henry with 46. Most yards after contact, Derrick Henry with 397. Receiving numbers. The reception leaders so far this season. First place, Travis Kelce with 71. Second place, Keenan Allen with 66. Third place, Cooper Kupp with 61. Fourth place, Devontae Adams and Dalton Schultz tied with 57. Yards. First place is Jalen Waddle with 919. Second place is Travis Kelce with 887. Third place, Tyreek Hill with 811. Fourth place, Puka Nacua with 797. And fifth place, Keenan Allen with 749. 3 yards behind him is Devontae Adams with 746. Yards per reception leader, Allen Lazard with 21.4. Calvin Ridley's up there too with 20.5. They're the only 2 above 20 that have actually gotten several receptions over 20. Touchdown leaders, tie for first between Tyreek Hill and George Kittle, both with 9. Third place is also a big tie between Jamar Chase, Keenan Allen, Mike Gesicki, Devontae Parker, Zay Flowers, Drake London, and Jalen Waddle, all with 6. Run after catch leader, Puka Nacua with 303 yards. Run after catch average leader, Saquon Barkley with 9.5. Let's look for a guy that's not a running back, though. Calvin Ridley with 7.9. Longest reception of the year, Tyreek Hill, 90-yard touchdown bomb. Of course it is. We all knew it was going to end up being something like that, but, you know. So, yeah, that's the receiving numbers. Worst offensive lineman in the NFL goes to Jalen Moore, who in 4 games has allowed 13 sacks. Paris Johnson's allowed 13 in 7 games. But Jalen Moore's allowed 13 in 4, so he's worse. All right, defensive leaders. Solo tackle leader for the season so far, Landon Collins with 43. Assisted tackle leader for the season so far, Foye Oluokun with 53. Total tackle leaders, not Nico Collins. He's not a guy, and he's not a defensive player. Landon Collins is in the lead of total tackles this season so far with 95. Second place is Ivan Pace with 91. Third place is a tie between Foye Oluokun and Divine Diablo, both with 88. And fifth place is Demario Davis with 82. Your tackle for loss leaders, Quinnen Williams, 31. He's got the most. Second place, Micah Parsons with 29. Third place, Aaron Donald with 24. Fourth place, Danielle Hunter with 23. Fifth place is a tie between DeForest Buckner, Vita Vea, and Khalil Mack, all with 21. Now, again, disclaimer, this list is incomplete. It always is, because it just omits players for some reason. I guess, to be fair, it had to have over 500 players on it. But at the same time, yeah, you should have all 500 players on it, Madden. Anyway, sacks. Sack leaders of the year so far. Micah Parsons with 26.5 is in first. Second place is a massive drop-off to Nick Bosa at 15.5. Third place is a tie between Aaron Donald and Danielle Hunter, both with 13.5. And fifth place is B.J. Ojolari with 13. Interception leaders. Marshawn Lattimore is in first with 11. Second place, Jalen Ramsey with 7. Third place, C.J. Gardner-Johnson with 6. And then tied for fourth is a bunch of guys with 5. J.C. Horn, Fred Warner, Trent McDuffie, Asante Samuel, Jesse Bates, and Tyrann Mathieu. They all have 5 interceptions. Let's see. Pass deflection leader so far, Stephon Gilmore with 14. Most forced fumbles, Jermaine Johnson and Patrick Surtain both hold that title with 3. Most fumble recoveries, a bunch of guys have 1. I'm not going to go through the whole list. We have still yet to see a blocked kick. That still has not happened. Safety count, there's one mysterious safety that wasn't attributed to anybody. I forget what team that scored it was. I think it was the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers got a safety in their last game, but it wasn't attributed to anybody for some reason. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that information. Most defensive touchdowns, Jalen Ramsey's got the most. Let's see. Kicking. The worst total kicker is Matt Gay with 64%. And the best one, there's plenty with 100% still. Chad Ryland, Brian Johnson, Blake Grupe, Younghoe Koo, Mason Crosby, Zane Gonzalez, Cameron Cheeseman, Seth Williams, and Austin Trammell all still at 100% kicking percentage for field goals. Longest field goal, Justin Tucker's 62-yarder, so that's fine. And extra points, the worst one is 2 guys that aren't real kickers. They're the only 2 that have missed an extra point so far. Everybody else is at 100%. I'm not naming everybody. So yeah. Punting. The guy with the tired leg, Riley Dixon, he's still on top. At the bottom, Nick Folk, still barely punting. Not even 2 full punts a game, which is wild. Most yards punted for, Riley Dixon obviously is in first after punting the most. Average yards per punt, the worst one out of actual punters is Ty Long with 37.5. Best is Corey Bojorquez with 47.9. Net average, J.K. Scott has the best with 42.9, and the worst goes to Ty Long with 34.4, so not much changes there. Most punts inside the 20, Thomas Morstead holds that title with 18. Has anybody not done it any? Yusuf Corker's only done it once. Johnny Hecker, Nick Folk, they've only done it twice. Folk because he never gets to punt, and Hecker because he's just not doing it good. Touchbacks. Let's see. Who's not had a touchback? Hecker's the only guy without a touchback, though. So I suppose part of it's just a field positioning game. Actually, no, he's bad. He's only averaging 38.2 yards per punt, net yards per punt, which is atrocious. Most touchbacks still belongs to Corey Bojorquez. He's still the worst on that front. He has punted 42 times, but that's not an excuse. Longest punt of the season still goes to Corey Bojorquez for a 69-yarder. Nice. Let's see. Kick return. I don't remember if there were any returns that happened this week, but so far the leader in kick return touchdowns is Tariq Cohen with 2. Best kick return average belongs to Tariq Cohen as well with 27.2. I know it says Tutu Atwell. He's not their returner. He got 1 return on a stray kick that was bad. Same with Ty Chandler. He's not their returner. He just got 1 on a stray kick. So yeah, longest return is still Tariq Cohen's 102-yard return touchdown. Punt return, we have still yet to see a touchdown. None. The best punt returner is so far Jamison Crowder with 10.7 yards of return. A bunch of these other guys with 2, 1, they were playing in games where punters were bad and just kind of sent it, like Yusuf Corker or Chris Streveler, because they have a tendency to make bad punts. So yeah, that's all the stats. That's the stat leaders, that's the scores. So we're going to advance the week, we're going to check the updated standings, and we're going to look at the weekly awards from this past week. Actually, we'll look at the weekly awards first. Ooh, a mock draft. I don't care. Mock drafts aren't real. So no Bears won the weekly award, obviously. Let's look at the awards for this week. So, NFC Offensive Player of the Week for Week 7 was Matthew Stafford. He was 33 of 47, 413 yards, 5 touchdowns. He was picked off once, sacked twice, and had 1 carry for -1 yards. That was prior to the kneel down. NFC Defensive Player of the Week was Dre Greenlaw with 8 tackles, 2 picks, and one of them was a pick 6. Pretty good day for him. Tyreek Hill had AFC Offensive Player of the Week, 9 catches, 242 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's a historically good day. Jalen Ramsey was AFC Defensive Player of the Week with 5 tackles, 3 interceptions, and one of them being a pick 6. Now we go to the standings. Oh, they're right at the top. My bad. So far, the Commanders, Titans, and Cowboys all still undefeated. Titans and Cowboys didn't play this past week. Commanders did. So still, there's 3 teams alive in the pursuit of 17-0. On the flip side, there are no more winless teams. The Cardinals got their win, and the Patriots actually have 2 wins now. So the last 2 wins to stay winless, the last 2 teams to stay winless, are on the up and up. That means that so far, the best streak in the NFL is obviously the Commanders at 7-0. The worst one is the Browns and the Raiders, both at -5. They are both on a 5-game skid. Raiders obviously started 0-1, got their first win immediately after, and has lost every game since. The Browns opened up with a win and then obviously haven't won since. Most points for so far this season. Obviously, this is going to be skewed because bye weeks, but that goes to the Dolphins with 299 points for. Fewest points for the Patriots with 129. Fewest points against is Cowboys with 94. Again, it's kind of skewed because they haven't played their 7th game versus the Commanders who have, but we'll worry about that later. And most points against is the Chargers at 247, which is rough. All right, let's see. AFC North. Let's sort it by rank. Ravens are on top, 4-3. Behind them, the Steelers at 3-3 are trying to claw their way in. As the Ravens are on a skid, they're dropping. Steelers are rising, so they got a shot here. Bengals are behind them, chasing. It's at 2-4, and the Browns are drowning at 1-5. AFC South, the Titans still on top at 6-0, but the Colts trying to catch up to them at 5-2. Texans are right behind them at 3-3, and the Jaguars are at the bottom at 2-5. Dolphins atop the AFC East here at 5-2. Behind them, the Bills 4-3, Patriots 2-5, and then the Jets at the bottom at 1-5. AFC West is obviously topped by the Chiefs at 6-1 in a wildly uncompetitive division now, with the Broncos at 2-4-1, the Raiders at 1-5-1, and the Chargers at 1-5. NFC North ruled by the Bears right now, 5-2. Packers right behind them at 4-2. Lions right behind them at 4-3, and the Vikings at 1-6 are getting curb stomped. This is probably one of the most competitive divisions so far. Obviously, if the Packers slip up, the Lions can jump them. If the Bears slip up, the Packers can jump them. It really just depends on who can keep who can keep winning. In NFC South, Falcons are on top at 4-3. Right behind them is the Buccaneers at 3-3, but the Buccaneers did just lose to the Falcons, so they have the tiebreaker. Panthers are below the Bucs at 2-4, and behind the Panthers, because of bye week, is the Saints at 2-5. NFC East headed by the Commanders now, standing atop it alone at 7-0. Cowboys, because of their bye week, are in second with 6-0. Eagles are behind them at 4-3, and at the bottom is the Giants at 2-5. Rams and 49ers are atop the NFC West with each other, both 5-2. Rams falling to 5-2 as the Niners climbed to 5-2 this past week. Seahawks are behind them at 2-4, just clinging on to hope, and the Cardinals, happy they got a win, are at 1-6 at the bottom. And that is it for the standings. I suppose we can peruse the mock draft. Let's see. So they think the Cardinals are going to pick first to take an end. They think the Vikings are going to take an end. That's dumb. Why? They don't need a defensive end. They need a defensive tackle. I think the Jaguars are going to take a corner. Who makes these things? These are not based. These are based. Okay, what I'm assuming is they're based on just rankings. They're not based on. They're based on the rankings of the players. Like if you look at the draft board, it's gonna. This is what the draft board is gonna look like. This is not what the actual draft is gonna look like, because like if the Cardinals are picking first overall, there is a 99% chance they're taking a lineman. If the Vikings are picking second, there's a 99% chance they're taking a quarterback. You know, if the Jaguars are picking third, I mean, I don't even know what to take for them. Probably well, not a corner, whatever I take. Probably a lineman or maybe a. I don't know. I don't know why the Jaguars are so bad. I can't explain it. They should be. They have a lot of talent, and yet they just suck. So that's weird. Like the Patriots probably picking a quarterback if they're up this high. They'd be the second guy. The Jets may also get a quarterback. That'd be three in the top five. The Chargers probably a D tackle, maybe a corner. We'll see. The Texans, gosh, what would the Texans take? They need a lineman. They need linemen. The Raiders, they don't need a D tackle. They need a cornerback. That's what they need. Bengals would be taking a lineman. The Bears, what would the Bears take? Wait a minute. Oh, this is what the Panthers pick. What would the Bears take? Gosh, I gotta rack my mind for what each team needs. Um, maybe a defensive end. Maybe that would make a lot of sense because Leonard Floyd is getting up there in age. Maybe a defensive tackle. It really just depends on what's available. Saints aren't taking a corner. They'd probably take a quarterback if that's an option, or if that's not an option, then I'd probably have them take. Mm, Probably. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Their team is really good. Without the only problem is that they have no quarterback. I mean, maybe a defensive lineman just to supplement when some guys get because a lot of their D linemen, their whole interior D line is old as hell. So maybe that. But I don't know. We'll get there when we get there for the Saints. Cause like it sucks because they're too good to tank, but because of their quarterback, they're too bad to be good. You know. Giants probably a receiver. They'd probably get the first receiver off the board. Oh, that's what the Bears need. The Bears need a receiver. Bears would probably take a receiver first off the board. So the Giants would probably get either a second receiver off the board or a corner because they need one of those too. Gosh, what do the Steelers not need? They need linemen. They need defensive linemen, not defensive linemen. They need a linebacker. They need a safety. They need a corner. Honestly, they might take a linebacker. They might be the first one to take linebacker. Seahawks. I'm only going through the top 15 or top 16. I'm not going below that. Seahawks. What would the Seahawks take? Probably well, I don't know. Maybe a safety if one of those guys doesn't pan out yet. Maybe we take a punter first overall or first round. Like maybe a 14th overall pick, we take a punter because it's so bad. Or no, not a punter, a kicker because Deontay Williams is so bad. No, I'm kidding though. Maybe a tight end, honestly, because Will Disley ain't it, and I really don't want to focus train up. Um, the one guy, what's his face, Parkinson. Um, so maybe a tight end, maybe a lineman. I don't know. Something offensively though. Well, actually, maybe a linebacker. Because they're gonna need somebody. This is once you get to the mid-teens and late teens, you start to get to the point where it's like, all right, are we really drafting a starter here, or are we drafting a guy who we think can be a starter? but we don't necessarily need him to start right now because that's about what you start getting here in the late teens, and then once you get to the second round, it's backups. That's how Madden. That's how the draft works in Madden. Once you get to the second round, it's mostly backups. Um, Cardinals, linemen, and then the Broncos. Gosh, if they're picking this low, they can't take a quarterback because there won't be any good ones left. What would they take then? Maybe a corner. I guess that makes some sense. Maybe no, corner probably does make the most sense if they're not going to get a quarterback. So yeah, that was interesting to look at. Again, that's not even like a real. That's just a prospect board. That's not a real mock draft. None of those picks. Some of those picks just make no sense. But anyway, that's going to do it for this. Are there no bye weeks this week? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. There's nobody on a bye week in week 8? Huh? How is there no week 8 buys, but we start bye weeks in week 5? Maybe that's why we start bye weeks in week 5, because we want to have a week off of bye weeks for some reason. The hell is that? Yeah, no, there's no bye weeks. Huh. Anyway, that's going to do it for now. I never noticed that there was a week in the middle of all the bye weeks, but there wasn't a bye for anybody. Not even like 2 teams. There's no team on a bye week in week 8. That's wild to me. So why do we I don't get why we get a break from buys, but we have to start buys at week 5. That is criminal. But anyway, that's gonna do it for the recap. I'll be back on later to start week 8. But that's all for now. So bye bye.